Hey everybody, it's Angela, and I am here with another design team project for SaCrafters. And today I'm going to do this chipboard road trip album of hers that is just really cute. And the only thing on it is I wanted to do a bunch of waterfall pages because I have a lot of photographs that I want to put into this album. And so I really didn't want to have it be a flipping up at the top, and I wanted it to flip on the side so that I can do the waterfall pages. So I'm just going to take off this little tiny triangle on the edge, and it won't be very noticeable once the binding ring and ribbon and everything is on there, but it will allow me to more easily flip the album to the side. And so when I cover the pages, I'll just cover over those existing holes that are in there. That's what's so great about a chipboard album, is that you're not stuck. You've got options. You can punch new holes and things like that relatively easily. And the paper I'm going to use are these basic gray, the Hey You, Hey Boy, Hey Girl, and the Fact and Fiction. I just bought some of these when they clearanced that line out, and I still really love all the different patterns and stuff. It's very usable for a lot of different things, and it's also double-sided. So I'm going through this to kind of pick out some papers that I want to use. And they also had some paper in there that had a train print on it. And one of the things that we did on this road trip, my husband and I, was take a train. And so that I knew was going to work perfectly. So I knew I wanted to cover one of the pages with that train paper. And so there I've got some papers out that I want to use, and I'm sticking with a lot of teals and oranges and kind of the chartreusey yellow green colors, and some of the ledger paper, because ledger paper is just so easy to work with. So there I've got that, and I'm going to use, after I cover the pages with this paper, I'm going to use all the scraps to mount my photos. And here I have this Oregon road map that I got from Debbie. Thank you, Debbie. And I'm going to use it to cover the very back page. Since I don't usually put photos on the back of my album, I thought it would be nice to have actual map of the area we were driving around in. And so this is going to work out perfect. And I actually wind up putting like little geotags and stuff on the back at the very end to kind of tag the locations. And so that's worked out really cute. So be sure to pick up some of those. You get them free. A lot of those maps that you can pick up from your visitor centers and stuff like that, and brochures and things that you can cut up. I didn't have a lot of brochures because I have made a page or two for my scrapbook of this trip where I put a lot of my other ephemera in. I do have some tickets for the train ride and stuff that I've got to find, and I want to put in this album as well. I just have to figure out where they're at. And that's the one thing I like mini albums for, is that it kind of contains all that ephemera. It doesn't get lost in the rest of your stuff and get out of context, and you don't remember what it was. So there is my final page, the back page, and I went ahead and I covered each of them, and I just covered them exactly like you saw, and then sanded the edges and inked them, and then I punched some new holes on the side. And there's the ink. I used that Adirondack mushroom to coat all the edges, and just gives it that nice crisp edge. And on the front there, you saw that I covered the very front with paper, and I actually used an X-Acto knife to cut out in the words road trip. And I was going to leave those blank so that you could see through to the next page, but then I decided that I didn't want to do that because I actually wanted to put more photos on there, so I didn't want it to be see-through. But you could, that would look so cute. If you didn't have as many photos as I did and wanted to put in here, you could definitely leave the words road trip as evacuated spaces. So here I am, like I said, I'm just going to use all the leftover pieces of paper after I cover the pages to do all my matting on. And I'm just going to show the construction of this one page just because I don't want the video to get too long. But for people who are new to making these kind of albums, I just want to show you how simple it is to put something together. You know, after you've covered your pages, you just kind of figure out what pictures you want to include on a page, and in this case I want to include everything about the train trip. And so I've matted a couple photos, and now I'm looking through these snap cards and the Becky Higgins travel cards. They're both travel sets, and I'm just looking through for some things that I could use, and I want to use a large Project Life card and make a flip so that I can include all the photos from my train trip on this one page, because like I said, there's going to be quite a few photos in here. And I wind up getting 3 to 6 photos on each page without the album becoming too thick, which was awesome. And so here I am, I'm just going through Project Life cards of various different collections in my stash and just looking for the one I think would make a good flip page. And I'm also pulling out some extras that I think I might want to use elsewhere in the album while I'm, looking through. Picking out some of the same, the bright green colors, some more oranges. And I use quite a few Project Life cards in this. I use them not only as these flips, but also as tags to mount photos on and, being able to pull them out of pockets and stuff like that. So there's the card I'm going to use for my flip page. And as you can see, I already got 2 photos on the front of that, one of the train and one of the track when we were up in the conductor's area. And it was a very awesome train trip. I'm glad we took it. It was the excursion train. And it had been the first time I'd been in a train, or in an actual real train. I've been on like a light rail before. And so that was pretty awesome. The only thing was my husband and I, we really didn't like it all that much, because when we're sightseeing, we're so used to stopping wherever we want to stop and being able to get out, and we felt a little trapped, a little claustrophobic in this train. I think if you were in the train going from point A to point B just to get somewhere, it would be fine. But as an excursion, as a sightseeing thing, you kind of want to get out and stop at places. And so that was a little bit of a different feeling for us. We just weren't used to, we didn't expect to feel that way. So we weren't as enamored with the train trip as we thought we would be. So, but we did get to see areas along the tracks that you normally, where the roads don't go, which was fun. So we got to see some places along this river we never would have gotten to any other way. So that was cool. And so as you can see, I'm just figuring out where photos are going to go. And I'm going to put those 2 of the river on the back of that flip card. So I'm just going to mount those on some more of the scraps. And if you don't want to mount your photos, and mat each of them, you can just use like a black ink or something along the edges of your photos, and that'll give you a little bit of delineation as well. And so then I am mounting this photo that I took looking out the window of the train, kind of looking back down the train. And then I'm going to use another of the Project Life cards to become a pocket there, so I can fit even more pictures in there, because I realized I just had more, so I had to figure out a way to incorporate more photos. So I'm looking through for another card, and I want to have it, one of them, so that I can write some stuff on it as well, because right now on that black train paper is not really good for journaling, so I'll have to make sure I leave a space for journaling somewhere else. So I kind of want to use that orange card and I'm not sure if I'm just going to use it for journaling and include that one photo, but then I realized, you know, I really want to put more photos in there. So I decide to make the card into a pocket. And so I cut part of it off so that the pocket's not too deep. And then I wind up trimming up my photo a little bit, and I trim it up even more here later, just to be able to fit it in that pocket. I'm going to do the quick, easy way of making the pocket and just putting a little bit of really narrow score tape. And I'm just using that same mushroom ink to ink the edges of my pocket. And that gives me a space to journal, and now I can fit more photos in there. So like I said, I go ahead and trim this up just to make it easier to slide in and out of that pocket. So I go ahead and trim the photo, and then I trim up my mat, and then that works perfect. And then I look through what other photos I had. I was going to edit a few out, but now with this pocket I can go ahead and include them. So I put one on the back of that mat, and then I think I take another card that just has more grid space so that I can do more journaling. So here I'm going to flip through what I did to each of the pages. Like I said, I put some ribbon on the binding ring, and the road trip, I would have picked a different color for instead of that orange, because like I said, I was originally going to cut that out so it was an evacuated space in there, but then decided not to. So but I like the orange paper just fine. And there I have one of the Skipping 5 puffy stickers on the front there, and just some little things out of my stash, a flare that says Getaway, some things from those snap cards that I just fussy cut some of the images out of the snap cards to put on the bottom there. And you'll see in the final stills I do go back at the end and put some gold embossing around the edge, because I thought it just needed a little bling on that front cover. So I put a little gold embossing powder around the edges. And so here's my first page, and I use these little wood sentiments that, from Sa as well throughout this whole album. And this one says, love this moment. We went to Hell's Canyon, and that was just gorgeous. Gorgeous there. It was geology I had never really seen before. It was kind of like the Grand Canyon almost. And so I just made this flip out so I could get like 4 photos on this one page of just the Hell's Canyon area. And then I also picked up, I love to pick up postcards while I'm traveling, so I included a couple postcards in here. And on the back I just matted it. I put another photo, and then I used a bunch of these clear cut shapes from Deja Views, which I don't even know if they're still in business. It's been in my stash for a while. I have a SaCrafters butterfly, and then here I did another flip card like the train, but I didn't make a pocket behind this one. So I've just got 3 photos on this, and I just use washi tape to make the flip on there. I've got little glue strands from the hot glue gun. And then this one I just used one of SaCrafters' little cars, and I put it on one of the Project Life Becky Higgins cards. I put the vehicle that we traveled in, you know, which we'll look back and see how we traveled, and a couple places that we stopped that we didn't spend a lot of time at, but I wanted to include some of the towns and things where we had been, and those are on some Scraptastic Project or This Life Noted cards. Here's another waterfall. We took a tram ride to the top of the mountain, and it had been the first time I'd been in one of those, and it was just gorgeous. And then we hiked around up there before coming back down. So yeah, you can see how many photos, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, I don't know, photos on just that one page. So this really works out awesome. And then there's the train page, and I added a bunch more stickers. I added a little train from SaCrafters, and then yeah, all kinds of just train themed stickers and things I had in my stash, because I don't know when I'll be you know, on a train again. So that was really cool. And then another waterfall with one of SaCrafters' word sentiments at the top. And then in the trailer that we hauled behind our car, we had our motorcycle. So when we got to our destination and we got settled into our B&B, we unloaded the motorcycle, and then we just did a lot of back roads and just had an awesome time. That was very fun. We went to some little tiny towns, and this is the town of Emnaha, and there's pretty much just that store, and the post office is the only thing there. These are other just images on our rides, and I'm going to do some journaling on those. And the Emnaha post office, their hollyhocks were going to seed, and so I took some of the seeds off there, and I have them growing here at my house at home. And I have another postcard that I put images on, and then here's another flip page. I used some washi, another sentiment, word sentiment, and just me metal detecting at an old log cabin. And then these are a couple more of the snap cards, and that I can do some journaling and stuff on, that I've made a pocket there, put a little flare badge as well, and so I can do a lot more journaling and quite a few photos there as well. And then here's where I said I did the little geotags, and I put a star where we had kind of stayed at the B&B, and then just some geotags at some of the different locations that we stopped at during our travels. And I just love the little bit of dimension, and you know, the fact that you can always refer to it as my hubby and I are looking through the album and reminiscing about the trip, or showing people about our trip. So I really love how this turned out. And see, it's not too thick, even with all the photos I got in there. I mean, that's as thick as it is. And the wood sentiments and things in there, yeah, it's not too big. So I love how it turned out, and you know, it's a great thing for all the road trips. I know people are going to be doing a lot of road trips this summer, so you might want to go to Saw's store and check it out. And if you use, I think it's Angela Fans, you get a 10% discount on purchases of $30 or more, and I will put the details for that discount code in the description box down below.